and this is Prompt Engineering 101 for everyone. You can try the prompt that I am trying simultaneously while watching the video. Namaskar. Today we will learn as to what prompt engineering is. So before diving deep into what is prompt engineering, let us understand the essence of prompt engineering. This is the essence. Prompt engineering means your ability to communicate, which you already have. Now we have to focus on our communication skills to be better at prompt engineering. It is directly proportional. What do I mean by communication is your ability to talk sensibly. The more you make sense with few words, the better prompt engineer you are. So, looking at that, let's ask our first question to our chatgpt, which is the popular choice. So, I asked it how to get better at communication, and it gave me a certain response. It's a better response, but you won't get the same response always. So, I just prompted it how to get better at communication. I want to be able to talk properly. Please help. Now, this is a vague and much more of a generalized question, and I'm not providing the context to the ChatGPT. But what we can do is now look at the next prompt that I am prompting. The same prompt, the same question, but it's much more clear and specific. How to get better at communication? Provide me tips and steps and bullet points. Suggestions should be for an intermediate level working professional. Let's see what it has to say. Now, if you see, you will get an elaborative descriptive response, which is practical, that you can apply in your day-to-day life. And you can take notes of it and you can make it into a routine by incorporating these tips in your daily routine, consistently practicing them. You can significantly improve your communication skills as an intermediate level working professional. What learning that we have here is that is the first step in prompt engineering, first lesson in prompt engineering, that is write clear and specific prompts. Next up, give model time to think. So, what do I mean by giving model time to think? This is called a few shot prompting, another technique to know in this lesson, that is giving model time to think. What do I mean by that is given the following examples, generate a response to this question. What is the question? So, example one is question, what is the name of the character who can teleport? The character's name is Elixir. Example two, how to defeat the dragon in the third level? You need to use the fireball spell on the dragon. I think it's about a game and it's about the character story about on it. Third question is the secret to unlocking the final door. You must find this mystic key hidden in the crystal cave. We are just giving it examples of how to respond. So it learns from these examples as to how it should respond. And if I now hit enter, you will see to obtain the mystic key, you need to complete a quest within the game. You will need to venture into crystal cave and search thoroughly for hidden passages, for secret chambers. Keep an eye out for clues and hints by the NPCs to explore the areas of beaten path. Once you locate the mystic key, you will be able to unlock the final door and progress further in your journey. Now, we clearly know that ChatGPT doesn't know which game it's talking about, but it was able to generate a response in the style that we expected to. That is what we call as few shot prompting. That is where we give it examples. From that examples, it was able to learn how the user wants the response to be. And we can generate a text like this. And you can imagine that you can create a game design out of it just by noting down your thoughts, and it will give you an elaborate, detailed script for it. Next up in the give model time to think is that can you generate an outline for a game? Use above context to create a short game story. This is what I mean by giving model time to think. That is, you can use a follow-up question technique to let ChatGPT use the conversation you had earlier to design or answer your response newly or in a clear way or in a fresh perspective. So if you look at its response, by just giving an example of abrupt lines, I was able to generate a short game story or a game script or a game design using this AI. So that it gave it a title quest for the Mystic Key, outline, introduction, set the scene of Mystic Key. Quest begins, journey to Crystal Cave. If you see, It's much more of an in-depth response. And each time you prompt, the response gets better because it has uh, a history, a chat history with you, and it knows how you expect the response based on your prompts and your gratification. So don't forget to add great, that's good response, something like that, which will help the chat GPT to understand the responses that the chat GPT or any large language model is giving, those are correct. That is how you give model time to think. Next up, clear and specific does not mean short prompting. Although few people might argue, and there is a popular saying goes that the less you talk, the more concise words you use, the more impactful your talk will be. But in terms of talking with the chat GPT or technological large language model or AI, it's better to have much more conversation with your chat GPT. That means when you write clear and specific, you should not write short prompts. The larger prompt you have, the better um, the model knows what exactly needs to be done. So that is the third lesson we need to learn, that many of my friends I see, they just give one liner and expect a clear and discrete response from the large language model. Well, these models are not up to the mark yet to give you an elaborate answer. It should know what you want. That's all I'm saying. So uh, this does not implies to all large language models, but clear and specific does not means short prompting. Next is exploring other prompts. Now let's explore this new large language model that is available to us, that is Claude. So what is Claude? Claude is basically as ChatGPT, but it is developed by another company. And what features that they have provided is that you can upload a file to it. For example, I'll upload I'll upload a Python script file. Being a programmer, I'll upload a file and I'll ask, what is this file about? So now we are uploading a document rather than explicitly prompting and copy pasting the data that you want to process. We can upload files, and Claude is one of those currently available large language model service that enables you to upload a file and converse it with it. So if I do this, it will provide me with a response as to what that Python file is doing. So we'll just read the summary, even though it has break down every single line of the code. In the summary, the file contains a function that checks if a provided encrypted value when decrypting secret key matches string linked in extension. If it does, it indicates successful authentication, otherwise fails authentication. So basically, even though I didn't knew exactly what the code in that file was doing, by providing this file as a context to this large language model and have a chat with your documentation, have a relevant conversation with this AI on the documentation to provide. So first up, we explored ChatGPT. Now we are exploring Claude, which is substitute or alternative to ChatGPT, because we can upload documentations and have a conversation with that. So fourth one is explore options. I'll provide you. We will explore few. Provide context. The fourth one is very important. Explore options means you have to experiment with the prompts as to see how much context you can give to the large language model you are talking with. The more context you provide, the more personalized, apt, reliable answer large language model will give it back to you as a response. That is what we learned from fourth point. Now, in this journey, there is one more important aspect to learn is iterative prompt development. In this today's internet world, people are looking for the perfect prompt. By perfect prompt, I mean if you use certain kind of prompts, the model will give you exact answer that you need, whether it may be for essay writing, whether it may be for proofreading, whether it may be for game designing, whether it may be for coding, debugging. There are numerous use cases of a large language model, but people are in pursuit for a perfect prompt. But let me tell you this, there is no perfect prompt, because what do the people mean by perfect is just it's working for them. It may not work for your use case. So that is why this is what I've learned. That is, you have to get into a process of iterative prompt development. What do I mean by that? First, you develop an idea. You have an idea, that's very easy, but you implement it through a basic prompt as we did in the ChatGPT. Just ask it right away and then see the response from the ChatGPT or the large language model you are using. After that response, the important thing to ask is, are you satisfied from the response that ChatGPT gave? If you are not satisfied or if you think it can be better, then refine your idea. Or the crux is, ask yourself, are you asking the right questions or not? So this is something that has changed my prompt engineering skills and communication skills, is to ask yourself whether you are asking the right questions or not. So what you can do is refine your idea and then get started with the implementation, then have an experimental result, then ask yourself, are you satisfied or not? And repeating this cycle, repeating this process of iterative prompt development, you will arrive at a satisfactory prompt, which will always give you reliable and expected results. And if you have created such a prompt, that is the perfect prompt for you. That is how you arrive at a perfect prompt. So that is the fifth important step in prompt engineering. That is, there is no perfect prompt. You have to develop that perfect prompt for you. It is relatively perfect for you through this iterative prompt development process. Just ask yourself this: are you asking the right questions? Because many times I find that I'm not asking the right questions. That is what we need to learn here. Next up, we'll go into Gemini. So if you search for Gemini, then you will get this Gemini website, which is a large language model, which is a competitor to ChatGPT by Google. And it is a very clean interface. I love the interface. And it can do many things because they are embedding this model with your Google Workspace. So Google is using its expansion to battle with ChatGPT. So one of the useful points I find from Gemini was you can insert a YouTube link and ask about that video. So that is exactly what I did. You might have heard of Naval Ravikant. He had a podcast with Joe Rogan, and I pasted that podcast's YouTube link here in Gemini and asked it to summarize the video for me. This was the response from the Gemini large language model. Excuse me. In the video, Joe Rogan and Naval Ravikant discuss the possibility of everyone achieving happiness and wealth. We know the video, what the video is all about. Naval believes that everyone can be rich and that the solution of making everyone happy is to give them what they want. He argues that if everyone were educated as a scientist or an engineer, robots could do all the menial tasks and humans could focus on creative and fulfilling work. He believes that we have the resources and ability to achieve this, and that is only a matter of education and innovation. I like this podcast and the way he approaches things, but the focus of this video is a large language model and prompt engineering. So I wanted to show you that you can have a conversation with a YouTube video using Gemini model, which is which integrates the large language model with the transcript of the YouTube video that you insert in. The next thing to note here is that we are using specific words to have a particular response. This goes in the communication history also. If you want to communicate effectively, you need to use certain kind of words which are apt and perfectly conveying what you want to say. In this case, we are asking using a specific word, that is summarize. These verbs or these words exactly convey what we want to the ChatGPT or the large language model that it needs to do. In this question, we will use two important words, that is summarize and focus. What we are saying is that give me the summary focusing on something. So the question was, summarize this video with a focus on the question how to get rich. Now the video or the podcast is few hours long, and from that it's extracting a summary which is focused on how to get rich. Isn't it interesting? In the video, Joe Rogan and Naval Ravikant discuss the possibility of everyone achieving happiness and wealth. While there is no one-size-fits-all answer, the question of how to get rich, Naval offers some interesting insights through thought exercises. If you can take a minute to read, you can pause the video and read its response, you will see it has provided us a summary from a 2 hour long video focusing on how to get rich. Isn't it fantastic? This is a demonstration of how large language models can be used. There are a few other words. We'll see what those few other words are. The next word is extract. So I have said extract from the video. Now here the task for the large language model is not to summarize but to extract. So the prompt here I provided to it was extract from the video link, what a student entering into a job should do to get financial freedom. Second question, I'm asking follow-up question in a single prompt. Who is the optimist? Who is optimistic about the new future with AI and tech, and why? In one sentence. So there are two speakers in the video, Nawal and Joe Rogan. And I have watched the podcast, and now I want to extract that information as to who is more optimistic about the new future. Now, this task is not about summarizing something, but to extract information from the video or the text. The third question I ask is who is the speaker? So it's extracting a personalized response referring to their conversation. It is judging who was optimistic between the two, Joe and Nawal, and third, who is the speaker. So this information it's extracting. I have just demonstrated a complex prompt to show you how powerful large language models can be if you use it correctly. Here are the answers to your questions about the YouTube video. The speaker, Nawal Ravikant, proposes that the solution to financial freedom is to get rich first. He believes that everyone can be rich and that is the matter of education and mindset. Here are key points from the video on what a student entering into a job should do to get financial freedom. Pursue a career in high demand field, develop in demand skills, be willing to work hard, live below your means, invest wisely. These are very relevant for a person entering into a job right now like me. The speaker emphasizes that there is no get rich quick scheme. Achieving financial freedom requires hard work and dedication. If you see this extracted response from the large language model, in this case Gemini, it's tailoring the response for the specific use case or the context that I provided. That is the beauty of prompt engineering. You convey to your AI coworker what exactly you want. Third up is it's answering the second question in the same response. Ravikant is optimistic about the new future in AI because he believes that everyone can be educated to become an engineer and scientist. With this knowledge, people can create robots to do all the mundane tasks and free up humanity to pursue more creative, fulfilling endeavors. If you watch the podcast, Joe is much more about I don't know, side of the future. But Nawar is very optimistic and he says that the time in which AI will do everything is not far away and people will have robots making money for them and people will have to find and answer this question what to do if not a mundane task. And the third question I asked who is the speaker. The speaker of the video is Joe Rogan, but the video features a conversation between Rogan and Ravikant. Now you can see from this is that it extracted who the speaker is just because we use the word extract. And also you can notice I have used delimiters. Delimiters, what do I mean by that? Is that we are providing context with some delimiters, which are just, let's say, margin or the box. Here are the questions, answer from these questions. And your actual prompt is above. So prompt can be multi-layered. It can have context, it can have questions, it can have instructions, and it can have a generalized prompt, how to handle with all of this, what you have designed. That is how an ideal prompt or a prompt should look like. You can use another words, that is transform the conversation from this video into a kid's fun guidebook on financial education and how to live a fulfilling life. Make sure you reason your choices of the book contents in short one-liners so that it does not hallucinate over the suggestions. Keep it as close to what Nawal, Ravikant, and Jude discussed as possible. So I'm elaborately saying out to the large language model, don't hallucinate. Because these large language models have this ability to just give you a fake, not a fact-based response. And that might be dangerous to you in a real-world use case. So this is a prompt example that you can do. And let's see what the response is. This is the chapter 1 of that guidebook for children based on the conversation of Nawal and Joe. Imagine a world where you can do anything you want, be anything you want, and here you have anything to want. You can see the level of simplicity in the text it provides just based on a prompt that I gave. and it's created a guidebook. I can actually use this to create and articulate a guidebook by Naval and Ravi, and then publish this, and kids can understand this whatever is written here. You have to ensure you are making it simple and not complex. And prompt engineering is a great life learning for you to learn how to make things simple. That is what this channel is about. Maybe we diverted from our goal there a bit, but yeah, LLMs. So this Gemini, Claude, ChatGPT, Find. There is also another one. I will show you. That is this for all the developers out there, all the programmers out there. This is one of the best alternative for ChatGPT to debug your codes. Yeah. So we explored 4 options available right now out there as of March 2024. First is ChatGPT. Everybody knows that. Second one is Claude. Third one is Gemini. And fourth one is Find, Phind. So these 4 are top freely available out there, freely, that you can use and make your workflow much more optimized and save a ton of time surfing on the internet. I'm calling this all as large language models. So there are many such words, and few of them are this: summarize, extract, transform. There are few words that you can definitely use. These are some of the words that you can actually use. This is what is the essence of prompt engineering. If you can understand at least these 6 points, right? Let us recap. Write clear and specific prompts. Give model time to think. Clear and specific does not mean short prompting. Explore options. Provide context. There is no perfect prompt. Use iterative prompt engineering circle that we just discussed here. You can take a screenshot if you want. And the circle is just ensuring and asking you this one question: are you asking the right questions or not? You understand the 5th point. And then the 6th one is use words like summarize, extract, transform, analyze, create, focus, expand, deduce, etc. These are just some of the few words. But what I want to say from the 6th point is that learn to use specific words for specific use cases. And this is prompt engineering 101 for everyone.